All right, our hero has just walked in the room. Actually, David, do not sit down. You're on. We have invited our county appraiser, I'm sorry, David Luther, to come in and talk to us about the different options as far as over 65 exemptions, because we're going to be getting our budget ready for next year. So we're looking at all the different options that we have. And he's agreed to come up with all kinds of figures. He's amazing at this. And so he's come here to share with us and explain how this could all work. That way you're on camera and you're on mic.
Okay.
Thank you, David. Thank you so much for being here.
Sure. Kind of feels like a hurricane or something's in the area. Traffic is terrible out here.
Well, I know you're always
early.
I was coming home from work.
I kind of went back to a presentation I did before. Kind of use those same kind of numbers because we don't have certified numbers yet. So it's hard for me to give you a realistic effect of what would happen if you give certain kinds of homestead exemptions. What I presented last year was that if you gave a $10,000 over 65 exemption, your rate would need to be about 5 cents higher than it currently is in order to give that exemption, if you want to bring in the same amount of money. That's 20, well, I guess you can say it's a 5% increase as well because your rate's close to $1. If you were to go to a $25,000 exemption, that would mean that you would need to go to about a 10-cent increase in the rate. And that's pretty much just kind of follows that as you go along. Every $10,000 or so of exemption, you're going to have to come up with about a nickel to replace those funds, if that's what you want to do. I'll give you some numbers that you're going to have to write down because I didn't have a chance to type them up.
And what you could do, David, if you later you could send them to me, I can email them out to council.
Okay. Okay.
If you don't mind
I
doing
was
that.
going to put it in a spreadsheet. I just ran out of time. First, I want to tell you there's a couple of different options you have for exemption. You can give a regular homestead exemption to everyone that owns a home and it's their homestead. It can only be done by a percentage. So you can give anywhere from 1 up to 20% exemption to everyone that has a homestead. But there's a caveat with that. It has to be a minimum of $5,000. So if you have a 1% exemption, $300,000 house, that's only $3,000 exemption. But the law says we have to at least give a $5,000 exemption. Interesting enough, there's several entities across the state that do that in order to give a $5,000 exemption. It's the only way you can get there. Outside of that, there's not much available on regular homesteads. The interest seems to be mostly in over 65 exemptions. Also, people that are disabled, you have the same options available to give exemptions to them as well. Basically, the way it works is you decide how much you want to give. It can be any dollar amount. It can be $5,000. It can be $100,000. Just whatever you think you want to do. Obviously, every time you do that, that cuts into your revenue if you don't do something to offset it with rate or with other funds. These are the options that I ran based on the numbers that we have in the computer right now, which are not certified. If you were to give a $5,000 over 65 exemption, you would lose $1 million in value. If you were to give a $10,000 exemption, double that, you lose $2 million. $2 million. If you do a $25,000 exemption, you would lose $5 million. $50,000 exemption would be $9.2 million. $100,000 exemption would be $15.2 million. The higher you go, the less that million per is going to come out to be, because not all homes are valued that high. Some homes that are lower valued run out of the use of the exemption. So, and then I did a 1% exemption or $5,000 minimum for all homesteads would be a $2 million reduction in value. And then the highest that you could go is 20%. That would be a $7.2 million loss in value.
You said
It's kind of
you
hard
said-
to talk to you. When I say loss in value, I'm thinking it's a loss to the entity. That's a gain to the people. You know, so
At first you said that $5,000 exemption would be about a loss of $1 million in property valuation. Then you said that it would be a loss of about $2 million in valuation. Is that homestead and disabled, or homestead and over
that's
65?
That's homestead only.
Homestead alone.
Yeah, right. And I can give you an idea of how many you've got. You have 234 over 65 homesteads. And you have 472 general homesteads.
Are there questions for David? See, we're going to have to, we'll have these figures when we start looking at budget and look at the different ways that it will affect and how we can compensate. Like he said, what happens, you give these exemptions over here, then the people that are under 65 are going to carry that burden to bring in the same amount of money that we would bring in like last year or whatever. It would add an additional 5 cents of taxes on those under 65. And they're the ones that are really paying right now. It's something, we have to look at
It's a matter of balance.
and weigh our options, but
Both of these are, they can be repealed. You can do it for a year and then take it away a year. But once you give something a benefit, it's really hard to take it back.
you can, but it's not a good idea. Okay. Will, are you
This-
hearing this?
Yes, I'm getting some of it. I'll be interested in seeing the figures David sends out. When do we have to make this decision to offer a 65 exemption? What's the time frame on that?
Well, our final budget and tax rate is not set until the end of September. Am I correct, David? So finally, because this is all.
Actually, it has to be set by October the 1st. You're right.
Yeah. So we're actually our size city and the way it's different for different entities, but we don't have to have our budget and our tax rate done until the end of September, basically, just before the end of.
Possibility it could be a little earlier.
A little bit, but not a whole
so
lot.
many days after I certify.
Right.
So if I certify much earlier than August the 1st, then it could be a week before August,
Yeah.
October the 1st.
Right. Are you hearing, Will?
I didn't hear Mr. Luther, no.
So what's going to happen? He was saying that basically we set our tax rate and we adopt our budget, set our tax rate at the end of September. He said it could be a little bit earlier, depending on when he gets his figures out. If he gets his figures out earlier, then we may have to do a little bit earlier. But basically toward the end of September, within the last 10 days of September, right, David? Right. So what we're going to do, we're going to be doing is having our own budget workshops, so where we sit down and we look at all the different options. And my intention now is once we work on the budget, then we'll put the different options in there so that we can see what best suits our situation here.
You need to be aware that we're in a whole new arena this year in truth of taxation. We have the no new revenue rate, and the rollback rate is now called voter approval rate.
And the de minimis
This year.
rate.
This year, when we sent out appraisal notices to the taxpayers, we did not put any estimates of what the taxes would be. The reason for that is we're gonna send everybody in the county a postcard that's gonna tell them, give them a website to go to, which is built into our website. That will feed everybody's estimated tax rates into the county, school, everybody. The voter approval rate, the proposed rate, we'll put all that in the computer. Taxpayer can then go look up their account, look up that entity, and they'll be able to see exactly what the taxes would be based on that proposed rate. So it'll be a little work for them, but at least they'll see something more personal to them as opposed
Right.
to just seeing an ad in the paper. So,
Right.
1 second. Will, is your line muted? Will, can you hear me? If you could mute it in between comments, we're getting some feedback.
Did you hear that, Will?
No, I didn't hear that.
Okay, David was saying that if you could mute your phone while you're not talking, it would eliminate some feedback that we're getting over here.
All right.
Okay.
Mr. Luther, you said for every amount or percentage that we give an exemption, there's the need, if we want to maintain the same amount of tax revenue, there's an offset in the amount of additional tax rate that we would have to set.
right.
If we're giving exemptions are on improvements, correct? To a property?
It'll be on the whole property.
On the whole property.
Yes.
Am I right to think that if people are getting these exemptions, either homestead or over 65, it must be because they have a home, and then if we offset that loss in value, that at least a significant portion of that new tax rate that we have to increase to offset is going to land on raw land value. Is that correct?
That and all the other structures, homes that are here that people don't live in.
Gotcha.
It'll all go over,
Okay.
spread across that as well.
Any other questions for? No. You have no idea how much I appreciate you
Oh, yeah.
coming out here kind of last
I'm
minute.
not in any
'cause-
hurry. If you want me to hang around a little while, I will. I just, I'll get all this typed up in a spreadsheet for you and get it to you.
That's super.
We are hoping to certify on Monday the review board.
Mm-hmm.
We still have a lot of value that's under protest, but we're under a 5% limit, which means we can go in and start giving values out to the entities. They can start working budgets and all. That means that I'll be able to certify by next Friday, and that's when I actually send them out to the entities. Like I said, this is a whole new arena this year. We kind of got a touch of it last year. So we're all gonna, I guess, gonna be in it together as well. But I'm anxious to see how the website works and if people will take advantage of it, look at it. So
Sounds like a good plan as far as people being able to get information. That's a good thing. Are there any other questions for Mr. Luther?
no, I'll hang around a little while.
Well, I know that he has a church meeting at 5 o'clock. So
It got
yeah.
moved.
Oh, it did? Okay. Like our meeting got moved. Thank you. I appreciate it. Were there any communications from the audience? Did anyone sign up? No. Okay. Next item is consent agenda items. Is there anyone?
Yes, I signed up for a non-agenda item.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Come on. Please state your name and your address.
My name is Jeff Heck. I assume this is not one size fits all here. There we go. My name is Jeff Heck. I live at 194 Sir Cedric Drive in Old Ivanhoe. I noticed that there is a lot about 6 doors down from me that has been completely cleared. It was a vacant lot. It's adjacent to an existing structure, just an existing house. I noticed there was no permit on it, and so I asked a neighbor if she had any idea what was going on. She said, no, I assume somebody's going to build a house here. But I noticed that the city was being responsible for hauling off all the debris. They were taking it back to the burn pile, et cetera, et cetera. So one afternoon, I saw the city workers down there and asked them what was going on, and they explained to me that this was going to be a materials laydown yard for future road work, I assume. That probably benefits me greatly because our road on Sir Cedric Drive is pretty bad. You can't normally get up and down it. And I know that even though there will be increased truck traffic and noise, y'all are going to have to do something to the road to be able to get trucks up and down the thing. So I will benefit from that. However, my concern is that there's a single woman that lives immediately adjacent to this property, and she has no idea what was even going on down there. And I'm wondering, she's not going to be able to sit out on her porch without, if there's dump trucks coming all day long, machinery running, that type of thing. It's going to be a very big detriment to her. And one of the reasons we're here tonight is for the approval of a CUP application, which, these people had to come in and give public notice. They had to issue a site plan. They had several meetings with the planning and zoning. They had meetings with y'all. And, we went through an extensive review process, but I'm wondering why it is the city is able to take a lot that they already own and develop it or do something that it's not designated for. I mean, a CUP is for, a use that it is not zoned for. Well, the city can put a laydown yard there that's going to be, like I say, not a benefit to this person who lives right next door. Our front door is less than 50 feet from a wide open lot that is now going to have, again, dump trucks, machinery. I'll walk by the other laydown yard or materials yard that's in the back of the property, and there's constant activity over there. I mean, things are always being dropped off and et cetera. So, again, if there was public notice on this and I missed it, I apologize. I mean, I'm sorry that I didn't catch it, but I don't remember there being any action. Like I say, there's no permit on the lot. Nobody knows what's going on, and if I hadn't asked the city workers, I wouldn't have known myself. And again, it's not to my detriment. I'll probably benefit from it, but I think that we need a plan so that the city cannot just do whatever they want at any time they want without at least allowing the public to know what's going on out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay, moving along, consent agenda items. Is there anyone that wishes to remove anything from the consent agenda?
Mayor, please take off the minutes of the regular meeting, June 17th, and the special meeting, June 28th.
Okay, all righty. Okay. Is there anything else that anyone wishes to remove from the consent agenda? Is there any objection to the adoption of the consent agenda? Okay, there being none, it is adopted. Let's move on to regular council agenda. Number 4, consider for discussion action conditional use permit, Yessica Montserrat Magana Santana, DBA Wisdom Universe. And recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission, I would like them to present their recommendation. Whoever is representing the P&Z.
Thank you, Mayor, Councilman. In a word, the P&Z recommends disapproval of the CUP application. If you have any questions, let me know.
Okay. Are there any questions to Valerie for considering or regarding the decision or the recommendation?
Valerie, do you have maybe a condensed version of the high points as to why your recommendation is for disapproval?
Can I give you the process?
Certainly.
Quickly, we found criteria in the ordinances that we needed to judge against, and I believe Councilman Craven is giving you that criteria. And we looked at each criteria item and weighed the information that we received in the original and the follow-up application in addition to the questions and answers that were given in the town hall meeting. And we counted 7 noes, 4 yeses, and 3 undetermines from those criteria of being acceptable. So we determined that there were 7, we had a weighted value of 7 against the total number of criteria.
You wouldn't happen to have that short list of 7 handy, would you?
I do.
Wonderful. That's what we were looking for. I want the public to hear it.
This was on 15040, section, application for conditional use permit. Item F, under standards. Number 1, when considering applications, the commission needs to make its decision on the application basis on the site plan and other information submitted, evaluate the impact of the conditional use on and compatibility of the use with surrounding properties and neighborhoods to ensure the appropriateness of the use at a particular location. The numbered items under D, number 1, adequate ingress and egress to property and proposed structures thereon with particular reference to vehicular and pedestrian safety and convenience and access in case of fire. We said no. Number 2, off-street parking areas, loading areas, and pavement type. We said no. Number 3, refuse and service areas. We said no. You just want me to read the ones that we said no to?
Yes, please.
Number 11, roadway adjustments, traffic control devices or mechanisms and access restrictions to control traffic flow or divert traffic as may be needed to reduce or eliminate development-generated traffic on neighborhood streets. We said no. Number 12, provision for pedestrian access amenities and areas. We said no. 13, the proposed use is not materially detrimental to the public health, safety, convenience, and welfare, or results in material damage or prejudice to other property in the vicinity. We said no. And number 14, noise. We said no.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
Any other
Valerie.
questions?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, it's council's responsibility at this point to make a decision. We are acting as a ZPA at this point. And do I hear a motion to approve or deny the CUP?
On the
I make the motion to deny this CPU.
CUP, but good. Okay, we got you.
I will second.
Okay, now discussion. There seems to be no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it's been denied unanimously. Okay, moving right along, it's my report. Okay, first of all, I've got a big folder or a big flyer in front of me that was given to me. There's going to be a blood drive tomorrow at the fire department. So if you all want a lovely T-shirt, go give blood in the morning and you get a T-shirt. And they start at 9 a.m. The next thing, of course, everybody knows that we've been awarded an $11.5 million grant. And we had, yesterday we had our first meeting with our engineer and the IPOA board to talk about land acquisition because, of course, nothing can happen until the land is acquired because the city has to own the land in order for the money to be spent. So we're working with the association. It was a very good meeting. I think we reached a lot of understanding as far as what the plan was, what the plan could look like and what it's where we're going with it. And there'll be further town hall meetings, further information regarding what we have to do to move forward with this. Contracts have not been assigned or put out yet. We got the award notice, and then we got an email that said that the contracts were imminent. we are not sure what eminent means, but nothing can be actually done until the contracts are signed. But we can start doing our legwork in order to be ready for when those contracts come available for signature.
And for clarification, Mayor, those contracts are from the GLO, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's not with any contractors that will do any work or engineering firms or anything. That's just
the GLO. When GLO is where the funding is coming through, and so once the GLO has issued the contracts and they're all signed, then we get into the process of surveying and then going out for bids for work and whatever. But nothing happens until those contracts are signed. We have Grant Works coming. Grant Works is the one that we got a grant for to do an comprehensive plan. And they're coming in the 20th, right? I believe the 20th to do some of that legwork. They're supposed to,
Next Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah, next Tuesday and Wednesday. There'll be boots on the ground going up and down every street, assessing every piece of property, determining which habitations are livable, which aren't, whatever. They're going to be doing all that legwork next week. So when you see suspicious-looking vehicles going up and down taking pictures, and they'll have signs on the side of their vehicles that say to identify them. But that's what that's about. They're going to.
And there's a public hearing set for that evening on Tuesday.
Yeah. Oh, okay. There'll be a public hearing Tuesday the 20th at what time? 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
6 o'clock. And that's, for public, we don't have to have a quorum here.
No.
We don't have to be here at all. Grant Works is conducting a public hearing to get input from the public. So, if you can come, fine. If you can't, hey, but there will be a public hearing on Tuesday at 6.
Mayor, can I make an interjection?
Absolutely. CD is wanting to share something.
Thank you. Yes, Mayor. Okay. I passed out, this is a draft of the survey that Grant Works is going to be making available via internet. Yes, sir. And because it's a draft, I just printed on the front of each page. If you look at, it's recycled paper. So if you see anything that you'd like to make notes of that need to be corrected or changed, and get that back to me so that I can forward it back to Nathalie at Grant Works so she can update that survey before it goes live to the folks who want to respond on that. Mayor, you might hit on some of the questions that's in there so folks have an idea of what to expect.
Well, and here, to begin with, question title. Do you live in Ivanhoe? Yes, no, not sure, whatever. Only part-time, not sure. Okay. Anyway, the second question, and this is something that CD questioned, why is Ivanhoe your home? Now, that doesn't even make grammatical sense. But he suggested why is Ivanhoe, or why did you choose Ivanhoe? Obviously, the survey is going out to people that own property here, so why did you choose Ivanhoe? That was the version that CD is suggesting. Anyway, you can look through this, but there's a series of questions. When we had Courtney Zog come in a couple years ago, was it? And she sent out a survey. It was that Survey Monkey, and you go and you answer all these questions, and we ask the community to please give their input, and that's what we're going to be doing again. This is Survey Monkey, isn't it? Again, isn't it? Yes. And
So is this just an example?
this is a.
Of what they're wanting to put online.
Okay.
So we have to adjust it to our community, and so she's asking for input at this point to see what we think should be, adjusted. Because I think it's a pretty standard survey form that they send out, and if we don't have any input, that's what they'd put out there. So obviously there are things that we need to change in order to get the feedback that we need from our community. So please, council, look at that and give CD your feedback as soon as possible.
It's homework. If you can get it to me by Tuesday. Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, speak early or forever hold your peace. That sort of thing, right, CD? Okay. We are having a pre-construction meeting with Texas Water Development Board and Gulf States. When is our? Next Friday. Yeah, next Friday at 9 a.m. And so, if any of the members of council want to sit in on that, you're certainly welcome to do that. Next Friday, the 23rd, at 9 a.m. Just a little FYI, I happened to call our county judge this morning, and it turns out that he was in Lufkin for a meeting. It turns out that, you know, there was going to be like $69 million coming to DebtCog for a round of funding through Harvey mitigation stuff, and 11 million was going to come to Tyler County. Now there's been an adjustment. It looks like maybe twice that is going to come to Tyler County. And so, and it has to be spent in 75979. Our Tyler County didn't get, it's not for the entire county. It's only our zip code, 75979. So what I just want to let you know is that, you know, this is good. The 7 judges got together at DebtCog today to discuss this. I haven't been able to I haven't talked to Judge Blanchette yet about what transpired at that meeting, but I have a meeting on Tuesday, and I'm going to go to DebtCog and find out what's going on with all that money, because we certainly want to chase some of it, make sure that Ivanhoe gets its share. Just want to let you know we're on top of it. And I think that's all from my report right now. So we'll move along to item number 6. Consider for discussion action Supervisor of Dams report. You know, Rusty showed up last night for the meeting, so and he was all dapper and is, you know, all dressed up and showered, and no meeting, so I guess he decided we got one chance, and that's it. Yeah, his weekly shower. Will, did you have anything to say about the dams? I'm giving him an opportunity to turn to
Okay. Pretty much, Westy and I have talked about the dams. We're still waiting on Chance Construction to come out to check that void out. The levels are good. We've had the dams, they have been mowed, and we had sprayed Camelot and Tristan Dam on the north side of it. And Friends of Ivanhoe is going to reinstall a walkway onto the Babylon Tristan Dam. So those are the things that are working right now. And then as soon as the rains quit and the level of Charmaine comes down, then we will spray the Charmaine Dam and the Siphon Basin again. That's pretty much it on the dams right now. There's nothing really that's changed.
Super. Thank you, Will. Appreciate it. Okay. Number 7, report on municipal court activity. I have Judge Rader's report here. She didn't have much to say other than reporting the fines. Total fines and court costs collected in June was $2,064. Total fines retained by the city is $1,294.06. Total court costs sent to the state was $736.04. So that is the judge's report. Number 8, report on city marshal office activity. Terry, you're on. Marshall Riley, I should say.
Drum roll, please.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Last month, we had 120 calls that came through our department. Only 17 of them came through the sheriff's office. There was 14 violations written, citations, and 0 warnings.
All right. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Next, report on monthly code enforcement activity. Missy Taylor. Would you?
Mayor?
Yes, sir. Will. Oh, I think.
For Marshall Riley, do you think it would be beneficial if we had an ordinance stating that you have jurisdiction over IPA parks and lakes so that you could exercise your authority there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. Is that something that council could adopt as an ordinance for that, Mayor?
Excuse me, Will. I didn't hear you.
Could council adopt an ordinance giving our marshals jurisdiction over IPA parks and lakes?
Okay. What we can do is send that to the P&Z for them to look at
All right.
Okay. What?
That.
Oh, wait a minute.
attorney-
Wait a minute. Our attorney has something to say about that.
I just need to look into the legality of that, whether we can do that or not.
Did you hear that, Will?
Yes.
Okay.
That'd be a start.
Okay, that's the first thing I think we need to do is have Brad look at the legality before we come up with ordinances that you can't even do. So thank you, Brad, for interrupting that one. Okay, now we are ready for our code enforcement activity. Missy Taylor.
Council, Mayor. Right now, we're still working on the open cases that we have. I have been diligently putting in our cases in our new iWorks module that was generously paid for by Friends of Ivanhoe during the COVID year. And so right now, we're just working on basically getting all our information in. We're still doing show causes for court hearings, and we're still working on the city one case at a time.
We appreciate you. Missy puts in a tremendous amount of work. There's a big yes from CD. And we really appreciate that, Missy. And thank you, John Craven, for being the liaison to that. Consider for discussion action Public Works Report. This is David Marshall.
Howdy.
Howdy.
We're busy as always. I'll answer whatever questions y'all may have as that goes. But recently, CD and I attended a meeting with the TML folks, and the way that we do things at the yard is going to be changing fairly dramatically. It will incur some expense, but we're going to have to start dealing with MSDS sheets, separate lockers, material safety data sheets. Things, our gas cans have to be in a particular place in a lockable outside cage, more or less. Things like this. So it's coming. It's nothing that's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars, but we are going to probably have to ask for a couple of bucks now and then. Other than that, an email, I think it was sent to CD, and he passed it off to me. When we were doing Chanticleer, we talked about coming back with a fog seal to help seal that road and keep it from aging so fast. I believe Victoria from LJA mentioned that when they're out here doing the work on the water
Development board. Yeah.
water board, that maybe we might get by a little easier with no mobilization fee since they're already out here, and it would certainly be a good time to do it, provided we can dodge in between the rain showers. But the temperature needs to be high, and it would certainly be there. It's getting there, so it would be an opportune time to do that.
Well, Gulf States had given us given an estimate of $5,000 to do that.
Right.
Right after the repair was done,
Okay.
and since they're going to be doing the Water Development Board project, we'll be talking about it at the pre-construction meeting next Friday.
It makes perfect sense.
Right.
We got some bids on part of that Water Development Board detour that we're doing for the materials that we're going to use. Yarborough came in at $44 a ton. Vulcan came in at $40.50 a ton, and the folks that we have been using this year, they came in at $37.50, and that was East Texas Asphalt out of Livingston. Obviously, I think you know my choice. They have been good to us and great provider, and there when we need them, and they also came in with the lowest bid.
Not to steal any of David's thunder here, but because we are expecting this project to be over $50,000, that's the reason that we went ahead and requested proposals for the material that's going to be used there. Thank you.
We hit our 25th day, working day, on Tuesday, the 13th, July. So I'm not going to say we're out of the woods, but we are approximately 75% done with the work that we need to do to get the trucks in there to start laying that rock down. I promised you, 30 working days? Okay, so I might miss it by 5 or 6, but we're in the ballpark. It will get done. So much depends on the weather. It's hard to pinpoint and say, yes, we can do it this week or next. It just depends. It has to be dry. Other than that, it's rocking along as normal.
Thank you.
Good. Good,
Yep.
good, good.
Yeah,
Thank
we're
you.
talking about the detour that's being constructed
Yes.
in order to be able to do the Water Development Board project. So, thank you, David.
You bet.
Appreciate it greatly. Consider discussion action.
Hey, Mayor,
Oops, Will, I'm sorry.
that's all right. I have a question for David.
Uh-huh.
David, on Charmaine Dam, do we have no parking on the dam signs that we can put back up?
We've already ordered them.
Okay,
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, they've been ordered for all 3 dams.
okay. We had an issue where we had somebody drive down on the dam and we couldn't issue a ticket because there's no parking
Right.
signs.
Right. They've been ordered. Actually, they've been delivered today. So, yeah, those are going up. Thank you, Will.
Okay.
Okay, number 11, consider discussion action GETAC, GETAC S410 laptops with wireless internet capability for Marshall Department. Marshall Riley, you're on again.
Back again. The reason I asked for this request is because I'll give you a little, because you always like to ask questions, not to throw you under the bus. But Mike, our deputy, was out here working. His computer fried and said, "Officer needs assistance." Tyler County didn't know about it. Woodville PD didn't know about it, but Nacogdoches PD, it come across the computer that our officer was needing assistance.
Did they come out?
Through CopSync. So Nacogdoches PD calls Woodville PD because we're all on CopSync, and Woodville PD calls me, and I call him. Come to find out, he's fine. But our computers have went, woo. So I asked for 2, but then I resubmitted it for 3 because we can always have one in my office for a backup in case one of them goes down, because this is going to take 4 to 6 weeks just to get them built for us. They're hardwired and everything. I mean, they're called hard boxes or something like that. It's for the vibration.
Tough books.
Tough book, yeah.
Yeah.
For 3 of them, it's $5,850. But it's got built-in internet with Verizon, because that's our main
Provider.
one here. So, and the other day, the other little one I've got that I do code enforcement for Missy, it throwed me needing officer assistance, and I was doing a code violation. I wasn't even on a traffic stop, and it threw up I needed assistance.
Now,
So-
are these laptops provided for and built by
Motorola.
Motorola? Are they? Would we get these from Motorola, or
Yes.
would we get these through a division that actually specializes in setting them up for law enforcement application?
Motorola through, it's all on the, I don't know, do y'all have it?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, it's through Motorola,
Gotcha.
yes. You don't have it? Here.
Should be in your packet.
Yeah, it was in the package.
But yes, it's built through Motorola.
Yeah.
So is this a capital expenditure that we budgeted for this season?
No.
Okay. Do we have funds left over in the marshal's department to cover the expense?
No.
Okay. Are we in a position where we can continue to function while we assess
You're talking.
how to pay for this?
That's your call. I'm talking about officer safety.
Well, that's what I'm
Yeah.
asking, Terry.
Yeah.
Is can
Yeah.
at this point can our officers function safely while we assess the purchase?
We're gonna have to until we get computers. I mean, the computer he has works, but he might hit a bump, or it might just throw out a signal again. I can't make that decision. Y'all can.
Sure.
I'm talking about officer safety.
Yes, sir. Councilman Blackstone?
I think we need to dig deep and find the funds for this.
Is this something that I've got an idea I don't necessarily want to just toss out in the open, but Terry, do not get me wrong at all. There's nothing more important to me than the safety of each and every member of our community, including our law enforcement. I just wonder if there may not be a faster and more affordable way to get you guys taken care of. And you may not have
No, I'll
have
tell
that
you right
plan, but-
now, you can buy a knockoff brand, but the warranty for Motorola is Cadillac versus a Yugo.
Sure.
I mean,
Well, I know somebody that has military spec tough book laptops that may have extras of them that might be willing to service our need.
if we get them free, that's fine with me. But
I don't know that that's the case.
yeah,
Again,
but the reason I'm going with Motorola is they're top of the line,
Sure.
and if we also have 3 new cars that y'all purchased, and if we get our body cameras in them, they can download into these computers. Where now we have to go to the front office. Hold on. We have to go to the front office, download the computer on this computer, and put it over on a hard drive over here two different times before we can even get back in the car.
is this something that we could move to authorize funding the project and in the next 48 to 72 hours do some additional due diligence to see if we may have a viable option that could support our need? That would make good sense, and if not, then move forward with getting our law enforcement set up with these.
Okay, maybe put that in the form of a motion and if you have not been able to find anything out within the next 72 hours, then we move forward with the purchase of these. Does that make sense?
Hold on. Is there any special software that has to go on these?
Yes, the cop sync, it has to be put in it.
That would be the other consideration for whatever it is that you can scrounge up.
Which Ivanhoe already pays for cop sync.
Right. So that wouldn't.
Yes,
So it wouldn't be additional charge for that. We already have the licenses for it.
right.
Okay, great.
If you can dig up something, that'd be great.
Right. I can probably know something in 24 hours.
No
So-
offense, please find out something,
Absolutely.
but we need it. Please do if you can.
I'll
But I mean,
I'll
it-
know in 24 hours.
Okay.
So I will.
Recognize these are the tools y'all need to do your jobs.
Right.
Especially the full-time Mike. Mine, I'm doing code enforcement, but like I said, it threw me needing assistance on a call that Missy was at, and my computer went, I needed help. I didn't even touch it.
Sure.
So-
Understood. Well, I make the motion that we authorize purchase of laptops to support the Marshal's Department. And if within the next 72 hours we do not find an option other than the Motorola laptops that Marshall Riley has brought forward to us, that we move forward with that purchase to support their safety and operation.
I'll second that if I can follow your motion.
If you could understand it, right? Will, do you have anything to say? Any other discussion?
I'm in agreement.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. My only concern is I do not want any money coming out of their payroll. That's all I like to say.
It wouldn't be coming out of their payroll.
Okay.
They're all. Okay. If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay. Consider the discussion action appointment to Planning and Zoning Commission. We had a resignation from Planning and Zoning by Bertie Mosier a couple months ago, I think, and Carla McCulley has stepped into that position, and we have to officially appoint her. She's actually attended the last couple meetings and is doing a great job on the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I would like to have council approve her as a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Do I hear that motion?
I second.
Any questions, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You're official, Carla. Can't get out of it now. Consider discussion action Planning and Zoning Commission recommendations, and this is Councilman Craven. I turn it over to you.
I have nothing at this time, thank you.
Oh, I like that report. Okay. Number 14, consider discussion action increase of fee for variance and conditional use applications. This was something that Missy mentioned, and actually CD and both CD and Missy have been talking about this. There's an awful lot of paperwork involved and time and whatever. So CD, would you like to explain what the thinking is?
Again, thank you, Mayor and Council. Okay, the current fee that's charged is $75. The CUP notification that we had to put in the Tyler County Booster cost the city $87.50. So
Just that, without the mailing and without all the other
yes,
time.
and there were 15 letters that were sent out, which took Missy about 30 minutes to get all the addresses together, and me about 30 minutes to put together the notice in a letter form that went out. So the $75 does not cover the city's expense.
Is there any suggested amount that you feel would be adequate?
I did some research in the state of Texas, and it runs anywhere from $200 to $500. So for us to be charged $75 is cheap.
Way cheap.
Yeah.
Obviously, if it's
I
cost
would
us.
say my recommendation, if I could, to at least double that 75 to 150.
Are you putting that in the form of a motion?
Yes, I'd like to put a motion in to increase the $75 application fee for CUP to $150.
Do I hear a second to that motion?
Well, yeah, excuse me, variance or CUP.
Do I hear a second to that motion?
I'm waiting for questions or discussion.
Well, discussion is after a second. Now, if there's no second, the motion dies. Would you like to make a different motion? I mean, are you?
Now, if the motion is dead, I'm going to ask CD and Missy what they believe the total cost to the city is of pushing a variance or a CUP through the entire process.
It depends on the number of letters that we have to send out. course, the cost of postage is set at 55 cents for the letter. But then what Missy has to do as far as the iWorks information that she inputs and keeps up with, and also for just the general notification process, it probably runs us getting ready for a hearing about 3 hours.
Not to mention that, like this last CUP, the P&Z, I think, met, at least 3 times to deal with this. Yeah. And it could be anybody, but I mean, because we don't have to get specific about what, but the last CUP took 3 meetings of the P&Z.
Yeah, the other thing the P&Z is going to be looking at is increasing that 200 feet. So if we do that, there could be more letters going out and increase the cost.
CD, Missy, do you believe that $250 would cover the cost of most variance and CUP applications?
Yes.
I make a motion that we adjust the cost of CUPs and variance applications to $250 then.
Do I hear a second?
What did you find again? What were the numbers you found?
I found anywhere from 200 to 500. But, you know, a lot depends, I'm sure, on the cities. Some of these that were 500, they had, I thought, pretty high rates on other permits and fees. But
Okay, there's a motion and a second on the floor. Now discussion. Any further discussion?
I'm in agreement that it should go at least to 250.
Okay. Then all in favor?
Aye.
Do I hear an aye, Will? I think so. Okay, the motion passes unanimously. It will be $250 for a variance or a CUP application. Number 15, consider for discussion action budget amendments. This is the addition of the Coronavirus Relief Act disbursement funds. We have gotten the final reimbursement for expenses incurred. They had additionally sent us $22,000, and that's money we utilize to purchase the equipment to be able to broadcast our meetings, our sound equipment, our cameras, also to pay for law enforcement stuff, additional law enforcement that we had due to COVID. And so and our auditor has said anytime you bring more money into the budget that you had not budgeted prior to, you need to do a budget amendment. So we're suggesting a budget amendment, and I don't have the figures in front of me. I didn't get a copy of it. I asked for a copy. I specifically asked.
yes.
Sorry, Mayor. I missed that one.
Okay, the total amount that we received is 71,000. Is this correct? $71,448.70. Okay. Okay, I'm not quite sure I understand exactly. Okay, I think I need Missy up there to explain some of this.
All this includes the 22,000.
Yeah, this is the total amount. The additional amount that we received recently was 49. We'd already received 22. And Missy's been keeping track of all of these expenses, and what I needed to do, so the total for the equipment that we purchased as a city was $11,017.51, right?
Correct. That's force account materials.
Yes,
That
and so
includes
that
all
will
of our PPE, all of our equipment, camera equipment, everything that was purchased.
okay. Then
33. It was probably hand sanitizer. No. Oh, the Rarity. That's the. Yeah.
all the video equipment. Remember,
Yeah, and I do have all of the invoices, so this is just a pared down version for the figures.
Did they purchase it, or did we purchase it from a supplier?
we purchased it. Well, they ordered it, and we reimbursed them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why it looks like Rarity bought it, but,
Right.
we reimbursed Rarity, but we were you were involved in all of that stuff. Right, exactly. So the total that $11,017 or $17.51 is what basically the general fund will be reimbursed that amount, because that was expended from the general fund. Force account labor. Explain that one.
Force account labor is all of the law enforcement.
It's
and
only
then-
law enforcement?
Only law enforcement, and then there's a small portion that was overtime for me that was dedicated to cleaning, sanitizing, and then all the extra steps we had to provide for the COVID
Okay.
temperature, mask, the whole 9 yards.
I need that separated out, because that goes back
Okay.
into general fund, the rest of it's law enforcement. So what I'm wanting to do and what I need to know is how much of that is law enforcement, because that'll go into the law enforcement budget, because right now law enforcement is over budget. You'll see in the financial report, they're over budget in both line items. And so this is going to give them a cushion. Terry, you have to be jumping up and down celebrating. It's probably about $50,000, right?
It's like 52 something. I have the exact figure.
Yeah,
in
it's
my
about
book.
$52,000.
Yes.
So Missy will be able to come up with the exact figure. And then, of course, Warren ISD, we invited them to submit expenses that they had, and they came up with about $30,000 worth of expenses, but the only $6,524.91 of that was allowed.
Correct.
Because it has to go through, they accept or reject whatever
Right,
you
and
submit.
and a lot of what we tried with Warren ISD was, it wasn't so much equipment, it was more like their warranties and that thing, but because it was a prorated 4-year amount that they submitted to us, TDM only allowed for the window of the CARES Act.
That
which
was like
would've-
3 months, and so it was disallowed. The
Correct.
major part of it was disallowed.
So that's what's allotted for
But-
the city to help out with the Warren ISD.
Yeah, so $6,524.91 will be going to Warren ISD. And we have an interlocal agreement with them that we were going to submit these expenses. And so we will be reimbursing them that $6,524.91. The rest of it will be going into our either general fund or, our law enforcement budget. So I need a motion for a budget amendment in the amount of $71,448.70.
I second.
Okay. Are there any further questions or discussion regarding this? And how this money? Yes, this is all for the coronavirus relief fund. That's CRF fund. That's it. Okay. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you, Will. Okay. I guess, do we actually have to vote to disperse the funds to Warren ISD, or was that a sufficient?
We got that interlocal agreement. They have not signed that yet.
But I mean, do we have to vote to actually?
I don't think so.
Okay, that's sufficient then. Okay, consider for discussion action order of general election for November 2nd, 2021. We're already getting there, guys. So we have to approve the order of a general election for November 2nd. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Will has a little bit of a delay.
Agreed. Aye.
Okay, thanks, Will. Number 17, consider discussion action authorizing the mayor to submit request for American Rescue Plan Act funds and signing any documents related to the grant. I have been in contact, they have been contacting us and emailing us, and because there's this American Rescue Plan Act. And with Ivanhoe is allotted $355,000. This can be expended between now and 2024. This is more of the coronavirus stuff, and there are certain things you can spend it on, and but they will. The entitlement cities, what they call entitlement cities, got direct funding from the feds. This is federal money coming. And what they call the non-entitlement entities, which the small cities like us are just non-entitlement entities, that money is distributed through TDM, through the Texas Department of Emergency Management. So they have been contacting us. We have a deadline of August 2nd to submit our request for that money. They will immediately send us half of that. And then what we have to do is see, they give you guidelines about what that money can be spent for. Like before with the coronavirus relief fund, they allowed law enforcement, they allowed different things. And we have to see with what it is that what expenditures would qualify for that money. If we don't have anything to spend it on, we return it. But the half of it will be sent immediately, and then next year, 1 year later, the other half will be sent. Like I say, we have until 2024 to spend the money, and it has to be things that are in accordance with the guidelines that they will provide. But we need to go ahead and submit the request for the money, and I need the authorization to be able to do that.
I make a motion that we authorize the mayor to submit and sign documents related to the request for American Rescue Plan Act funding.
Okay, any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Consider for discussion action posting notice of request for administrative proposals for American Rescue Plan Act funds.
CD?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. I know.
This is one of those, it's almost like you have to justify it as a grant and the documentation that is required. And because the Treasury Department has just come up with a majority of their guidelines for the use of these funds, as the mayor had made note of earlier, they're still doing some fine-tuning on that. And because of that, and after having seen the amount of time that it's taken Missy to keep up with the CARES Act funds, I'm recommending that we have
A grant
administrator to make sure that we have everything properly done, because otherwise we'll have spent money and then the Treasury Department will claw it back. That's what we call it. It's being clawed back. Pardon me. And we certainly don't want to spend money that we're going to have to pay out of pocket on.
Yeah. So,
What does our grant administrator do now?
well, okay. For every project, we don't have a grant administrator for everything. We have Harvey-related grant administrator. That's Langford. But if we want a grant administrator on this, we have to go through the procurement process again.
Even if we use Langford again.
Well, we'll go out. We have to go out for procurement.
Right.
Go out for bids and see who. Again, we choose a grant administrator for each thing. It's not. We don't have a blanket grant administrator for everything we do.
Okay, so this would be separate from.
Yeah, we'd have to go out for to request proposals from grant administrators.
I assume that makes really good sense from a standpoint of you may have a grant administrator that specializes in parks and recreation or infrastructure or facilities
So
or
it's,
whatever.
it's project specific.
Yeah.
Like we're working with GrantWorks to do this
Comprehensive plan?
comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
And that's a grant that we got, but it's a different grant administrator. So what CD is suggesting is, and we don't have to, we could do it ourselves, but like you said, the scary thing is if we spend $300,000 and the feds say, ooh, that wasn't allowed, so you have to
That's
it's
the
better to
scratch
have
back.
somebody that knows what we can do and can't do, that's advising us and administrating this thing.
I make a motion that we post notice of request for administrative proposals.
And I second that.
Any questions or discussion? Any further questions?
Is that part of the grant? Can we use part of the grant to pay for that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Good question.
That was a good question. All right. All in favor? Oh, wait a second. CD has another comment.
Also, because these proposals will come to the city and they will be reviewed, pardon me, as we do with all of our grant administrators when they submit proposals, that's the point where the negotiations can take place. Normally, it's around 10% for our grant administrator to what their charges are. That's based on the community development block grant and other grants that we've worked with grant administrators, but it's negotiable. And so at the point where the council says, okay, these two grant firms, grant administration firms, they qualify, we're good with them. Okay, let's sit down at the table and talk dollars.
So when you say it's negotiable, it's not like a sealed bid where you really can't negotiate, you have to accept the low bid?
They submit their proposals, but then you go forward and negotiate.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have the motion on the floor to move forward with the request for administrative proposals. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Consider for discussion action authorizing mayor to sign all documents relating to the GLO HMGP grant. This is the $11.5 million grant. We've got a contract coming up soon, hopefully, and so I have to be authorized by council to go ahead and sign that contract and whatever documents are required. So do I hear a motion to authorize that?
I'll make that motion.
I second.
Okay, any questions about that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Consider for discussion action, auction of Crown Victoria VIN number, whatever, 2FAFP71W37X115159, and then the two Crown Vics we got, huh?
AKA Gray Mule.
The Gray Mule. I thought it was the Gray Fox. Mule. Okay, whatever. And then the other Crown Vic, the white Crown Victoria. We acquired 3 vehicles for law enforcement just this past month, and we got each vehicle for $1,000 each. So total of $3,000. We got 3 really nice vehicles. So what we're talking about is getting rid of the 2 Crown Vics that we have right now. We have offered to have David Marshall drive one of those Crown Vics because he's been beating the heck out of his car, and so maybe we might keep either the white one or the gray one, but we need to authorize selling one of them at least.
Are these similar year model vehicles where parts might be interchangeable or anything like that?
There's not much difference in the Crown Vics from day one.
Right.
So we're asking for authorization to auction either or both, but we may retain one for David Marshall's use.
Well, yeah, it kind of makes sense that we have a vehicle for him because he.
I would prefer that we keep at least one spare for whether it be for whatever city use we may need, because we don't have any other city vehicles other than law enforcement then at that point, correct?
Right.
Yes, we do. Your mic's off.
I think the batteries are going down.
Well, it's back on. I think Terry can address that real quick.
The Ford Interceptor that Mike is in now, we can either, keep it. It's still a decent vehicle.
Is that the white one?
Yes.
We will be keeping that one.
Yeah, we're going to be keeping that one.
And that'll be for city use, but
Yeah.
we need one for the public works.
Yeah. If you do that, I would recommend the white one, It's better shape. The gray one, AKA the gray mule, has been here for,
Since 2004. We bought it new in 2004.
since the Mayflower came over.
Sure.
But it's,
I don't ever see it moving.
well,
It's-
you're lucky
it's
to
being
get it
driven right
moving,
now.
But
So would that be adequate for David on these
For
roads?
right now, yeah.
Uh,
We can always sell it later if we decide, but this all came up in the last couple days as far as him needing something to drive. And so, with all our vehicle moving around, maybe that
well,
would,
no offense, the 3 vehicles we got the other day through DPS, we got 3 Tahoes.
Right.
With all the stuff I saved, well, we saved the city $60-something thousand, and all y'all had to pay was 3.
Yeah, thank you very kindly for that.
Okay.
Thank you, Terry. Okay.
I just don't know that that vehicle will hold up for him out here on those
Well-
roads. I mean, he needs 4-wheel drive, I would think.
well, okay.
I'm
CD,
just talking.
okay, yeah, that's not the issue right now. The issue is, do we sell them or do we not?
Okay,
Okay, well, that's what's on the agenda.
okay.
Well, is it do we sell them or can we sell them? Because just because we vote to authorize
It's an
auctioning
It's an
them
auction.
doesn't mean that we must.
Right,
Right.
right. And
I-
what's on the agenda was the sale of them and authorizing the auction, because they have to go out for auction.
I would authorize the gray one to be on, but I don't know which one is which.
I would make a motion that we authorize auction of either or both, whatever makes good sense, but that we assess whether or not we should retain one as a backup for Public Works or any other city department that may
I
need it.
think we've already agreed to that, of selling or auctioning off just one.
I'm putting it in
Well-
a motion so we can vote.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, do I hear a second to that motion?
I second.
Okay, any further discussion, questions?
What's the motion again? Can you restate that?
I make a motion that we authorize auction for either or both of these vehicles, but that we make an assessment and retain either one if necessary to provide. And you gonna make me do
Okay.
it. Hold the record up. Come on.
Was that clarified enough, Councilman Blackstone?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Councilman Harrington.
We'll see you outside, Skip.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consider discussion action financial report. CD, you are on.
Oh, council, does 49 pages of financial documents make your eyes roll back?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Mine too. Okay, well, first rattle out of the box, our state comptroller sent our sales tax for the allocation ending on July the 7th. It came in at $6,398.24, of which the portion of internet sales was $62.22. That's under their single local use tax, the way the state comptroller is doing that.
CD, I'm going to jump in with a quick question here on that note. Do we anticipate that number to grow significantly as internet sales are allocated in more of a localized way, or is that something that we're still having to fight the zip code on?
The state comptroller is going through the process now of reviewing how certain cities, such as Ivanhoe, falls within a zip code of another city. And we may be seeing a slight increase. I'm not forecasting that we're going to see a great deal of growth there, because the way the state of Texas has worked this out is that it's only for businesses that do over $500,000 in the state of Texas from some other state, and they have a set rate. It's not the 6 1/4 for the state and the 0.5% for the county. It's a set rate that the state charges, and then our portion of that is allocated out. So to answer your question directly, I don't see a major portion increase on that.
So I would think Amazon would be well above that threshold. It's almost like we need a separate zip code.
But we can't do it. We requested.
Dash 4 digits on the end of it, there's that out there. Stephen, our old mail, McBride, was that, said not to use those last 4 digits.
That I don't know. I do know that we went all the way up to the Postmaster General in Washington, D.C. requesting not a zip code, because they were not giving out zip codes, but at least have City of Ivanhoe 75979. And it was denied at the level of, and they say you can't request it again for 10 years.
So what's the last, the dash 4
Well,
numbers that's out there?
that I don't know.
We may see something, Councilman, after the state comptroller has gone through their process here as they're reviewing this. Apparently, we're not the only one that has concerns that's expressed to the state comptroller's office, so that's kind of prompted them.
$62 is kind of an insult.
Yeah, it is. All the stuff we buy.
Yeah.
Okay, Texas Workforce Commission has sent our tax rate notice, and the effective tax rate for the city of Ivanhoe is 2.8%. That increased from 1.7% last year because of the storm Uri that happened back in February. The snowvid. First quarter unemployment payment was delayed. They didn't send out their notice to us and all like that. So we're actually doing a catch up for both the first quarter and then the second quarter. By the way, the amount that the city is going to be paying for that first quarter is $778.91. Again, this is unemployment insurance. And then for the second quarter payment, it's $727.98. This is kind of a side note. The fight against maddening, illegal robocalls just got a bit easier. Effective June the 30th, the big phone providers nationwide, that's including AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, and Comcast, must use caller ID verification technology to confirm that calls are really being made from the number that's displayed and not spoofed phone numbers. So now I'm still getting robocalls, but I'm figuring that as this goes through the process, it's going to catch a bunch of those things. So I just wanted to let you know that if somebody calls you wanting you to send money, buyer beware. The Texas Municipal League's Intergovernmental Risk Pool, and I appreciate Mr. Marshall making note of our visit with our TML representative, Colby Colkhurst, and I cannot remember her name. It's Linda Marvant's replacement.
Right.
Nobody can replace Linda, but anyway, she was here as well, and so they're looking forward to catching up with you again in the near future, Mayor. But as a result of all of that has been going on, longer-term claim pressures over the last 5 years has resulted in the TML's Board of Trustees passing an overall rate increase of 4.9% for the pool in order to maintain its viability for protecting its 1,200 cities. Giving you an update on that. Okay, now we're to the Tyler County Tax Office and the form that I sent out showing that we currently stand at 87.82% collections for 2021. That compares to 85.87% same month last year and 86.27% last month. So we're well on our way to that 90% by the end of the fiscal year. Now we get to the 49 pages, and really, council, okay, you have looked at the profit and loss that Shirley put together, and there were some issues that came along that we had to get figured out, worked out, and so that ran Shirley a little bit behind on getting all the figures out to us, and that's why I got them to you yesterday. Normally, it would have been earlier in the week. The balance sheet shows where we stand, and then there's, of course, the reconciliation for each of the bank accounts. The mayor, of course, is looking at where we stand in the budget, and on that subject, come Monday afternoon, we will be meeting with Shirley, the lady that was here last month with her husband, and going to be learning the process of the budget online through QuickBooks.
Yeah, and what I was telling CD, you know, the form that we've used in the past to do our budgeting is going to be totally inadequate. I mean, we're going to have to start doing, breaking it down the way she breaks it down. So it's going to be a learning curve for me, totally. It's going to be so much different. And so Shirley's coming over here Monday afternoon and going to sit down with CD and I and teach us what we need to know to be able to do a budget and plug it in the way the way she has it.
Of course, the mayor is the chief financial officer, so she's the one responsible for putting the budget together, and that will be presented to the council, and then there will be the
But we know
budget
who really
hearings,
does
and then the tax rate hearings that'll be coming along as we get into late August and September. All the preparations. Oh, and on that subject, November the 2nd, our general election is coming up. Guess what? Tomorrow, the window opens for filing. We have 3 positions on the council, and that will be on the election coming up. So when you get ready for getting your form, just catch me and I'll pass it along to you. Let's see, it starts tomorrow and it goes through August the 16th, which is a Monday, and I'll be in the office that afternoon. Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the financial report?
I make that motion.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
Okay. Any further questions regarding the financial report? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Consider a discussion action agreement with IPOIA for access to property for mitigation projects surveying. That's for the CD. This is for the surveying for the projects that we're going to.
Yes.
See, he puts my name on there, but he actually does it.
Okay, we're going to need to work out an agreement with the IPOA in order for the surveyors to be able to get on to private property, which is the IPOA.
That mean that for the $11.5 million grant.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday. Okay, that's good.
Okay,
Does
just
everybody
clarify.
understand? Because see, before the land acquisition is made, of course, it'll be IPI property. So we have to have permission from the association to be able to go on their property and get the surveys done. So do I hear a motion to enter into an agreement with the IPOI for that purpose?
Is the agreement already established or put forward or drafted? Brad, is this something that we have? Is this just a general, like we say, yeah, we can do that?
I think Dawn is. Yeah, you had the meeting. Yeah, Dawn is going to come up with something that, an agreement that. I'm sure that she'll come up with a format for the agreement, and so what we're needing here is a vote to enter into that agreement and authorizing me to sign that agreement.
I make a motion that we authorize you to sign an agreement with the IPOIA for access to the property for mitigation project surveying.
Do I hear a second? That was a good, long one. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
You that was good. Okay, is there any other questions or discussion regarding this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, number 23, consider discussion action update relating to Ontiveros legal proceeding, and I will turn this over to Brad, our city attorney.
There's nothing to update at this time. They're still in discovery process, so maybe several months before there's a substantial update to provide to council.
Okay, thank you, Brad. Number 25 is we will not be going into executive session. That's number 24. So communications from the audience. Are there any other communications from the audience that have? No? Okay. Council comments. All right. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I shall make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned at 5:35 p.m.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Will.